Image adjustments. Image adjustments. Perspective wrap. So what about perspective wrap in image adjustments? By the way, Photoshop lets you easily adjust perspective in images, and this feature, by the way, is particularly useful for images having straight lines and flat surfaces. For example, architectural images and image of buildings. And you can also use this feature to composite objects having different perspectives in a single image, by the way. So what about background? Background is meaning that sometimes an object may look different in an image from how it appears in real life. This mismatch is due to perspective distortion. Images of the same object captured from different camera distances and angles of view exhibit different perspective distortion. Perspective distortion, by the way, in images of the same object captured from different distances and angles. And so what about prerequisite and enable the graphics processor? By the way, Photoshop requires at least 512 megabytes of video RAM to run the perspective wrap feature on 16 byte and 32 byte documents. And for more details, you have to see Photoshop graphics processor. And as a prerequisite to adjusting perspective, ensure that, please, the graphics processor is enabled in your Photoshop preferences, by the way. And you have steps here now. Step number 1. In Photoshop, choose Edit, then choose Preferences, then choose Performance. And after that, step number 2. In the graphic processor setting area, you should to choose select use graphic processor. Select use graphic processor. And step number 3, you should to click advanced setting to ensure that use graphic processor to accelerate computation is selected. Then click OK. So adjust perspective. What about adjust perspective? And define plans. Define plans is meaning that before you adjust perspective, you must define the plans of the architecture in the image. And you have steps now here again now. Step number 1, you should to open the image in Photoshop. And step number 2, edit and select perspective wrap and review the on screen type and close it. Step number 3, draw quads along the plans of the architecture in the image, and while drawing the quads, try to keep their edges parallel to the straight lines in the architecture. Like this screenshot now. This image now is explained for you how to draw the edges of the quads roughly parallel to the lines in the architecture, and as a displayed in the illustration, you can snap two plans together here in a set of plans defined for a building, by the way. And how to manipulate the plans. Switch to the wrap mode from the layout mode. Like this screenshot now. It's a wrap mode here now. Wrap mode, and you can to manipulate perspective in one of the available ways. You should to move around the corners of the quads panels as appropriate. For example, you can adjust the perspective of this image, and such that the two sides, by the way, of the building exhibit for shortening in equal measures, and the resulting perspective would approximate a direct view of the building from a corner. Like this screenshot now again. This image is explained for you now, adjusting the perspective such that the two sides of the building are equally foreshortened. And should to press Shift key an individual edge of a quad, straighten it and keep it straight during further perspective manipulation, such as a straightened edge is highlighted in yellow in the wrap mode, and you can also manipulate the corners of the quad's bounds for finer control while adjusting perspective, like this screenshot again. And you should to click Shift click to straighten an individual edge of a quad and keep it straight during further perspective manipulation, and the rightmost selected edge in this image is highlighted in yellow, by the way. Like this screenshot again. The selected edge is straightened, and also the straightening of the edge is preserved during further perspective manipulation. And you should to press shift click, sorry. You should to press shift click the edge again if you don't want to preserve its straightening. And in the wrap mode, you can click the following icons for automatic perspective adjustment, and automatically level near horizontal lines, like this screenshot, level horizontally, and automatically straighten near vertical lines, and this screenshot is meaning straighten vertically, and also automatically straighten both vertically and horizontally. This screenshot is explain both automatically straighten vertically and horizontally. And once you are done adjusting the perspective, you should to click the comet perspective wrap icon, this icon now. And what about keyboard shortcuts? The following keyboard shortcuts make it easier, by the way, to adjust perspective. And what about arrow key? Arrow keys is meaning slightly move a corner of a quad pen. And we have H and L and W. H is meaning hides the grid when you are working in the wrap mode, and L is meaning switches to the layout mode, and W is meaning switches to the wrap mode. And what about enter key? Enter key is meaning in the layout mode you can press the enter key to quickly switch to the wrap mode, and in the wrap mode the enter key commits the current changes to the perspective. And what about shift click? Shift click is meaning that wrap mode and straightens an individual edge of a quad and keeps it straight during further perspective manipulation. And if you don't want to preserve the straightening of the edge, you should to shift click it again. And what about shift drag and edge? Shift drag and edge is meaning that wrap mode constrains the shape of the plane while lengthening it. And enhance landscapes using perspective wrap. How to enhance landscapes using perspective wrap? We have now FAQ here now. Can you edit different perspectives in the same images? Is a question here. Can you edit different perspectives in the same images? The answer here now is yes. Yes, actually. When you edit different perspectives in the same image, you can choose to keep one part of the image having a certain perspective unchanged, while adjusting the perspective for the rest of the image. To do so, we have steps here now. Step number 1. You should to draw a quad around the part of the image whose perspective you want to preserve, and you should to ensure that this quad is not snapped to any of the other plans whose perspective you are adjusting. Step number 2. You should to keep this quad unchanged while working with the other plans whose perspective you want to adjust. And you should to edit also parts of the image having different perspectives independent of each other. And step number 1 again, draw unconnected quads around the relevant parts of the image. And step number 2, you should to manipulate the quads independent of one another. The next question: How much VRAM do you need to run the perspective wrap feature? How much VRAM do you need to run the perspective wrap feature? By the way, Photoshop requires at least 512 megabytes of videos RAM to run the perspective wrap feature on 16 byte and 32 byte documents. And if your GPU has 256 megabytes of RAM, you can run the perspective wrap feature only on 8 byte documents. And also the NVIDIA GeForce GT 120 video card isn't currently supported for the perspective wrap feature, by the way, and the on-screen type are no longer displaying. How do you bring them back? And you should to follow these steps now. Step number 1, you should to choose edit, then choose preferences, then choose general. And step number 2, you should to click reset all warning dialogues, and then click OK. And can you define different sets of plans for the same architecture? Yes, actually, as an illustration, here are 2 different ways of defining plans for the gateway to the Taj Mahal. This screenshot now. One quad drawn loosely around the architecture here now. And we have another screenshot, a different set of plans defined for the same architecture, and this set of plans gives you final control over perspective adjustment.